go. Here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Show number 1. Welcome to the Mackem and the Manc. Our very first go at podcasting. This is Ross speaking. I am the Mackem. And I'd like to introduce my friend Lee, the Manc. Hiya, Lee.
Hello, I'm Lee. I'm the Manc. Mad for it. How you doing, Ross?
I'm doing good, mate. Listen, this is our very first go at podcasting, so please be gentle if you're listening. We want to do this podcast because, like everybody else in the UK, we're currently following government guidelines and we are locked down. We've been very good friends for 20 years. We have lots of common interests. And that all started 20 years ago at the start of our friendship when we worked together on the same UK-based holiday park. Now, if anybody doesn't know what a holiday park is, it's a resort where they have caravans, static caravans, chalets, apartments, whatever you like. There's an entertainment complex, and all of the staff, or certainly all of the staff when we worked there, lived on the centre. So it was a big place for big people, big personalities, and big fun. We had some great times there, and we want to tell you some stories about it while catching up with each other and letting you know a little bit about the inner workings and some of the real backstage goings on that happens in the British holiday park industry. Is that about right, Lee?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Got some good stories coming up. Lots of advice, information, prior to starting, during working, and what to expect when you come out the other end.
Including some of what we've been getting up to over the last 20 years, because obviously we don't work for the holiday park now. In fact, sadly enough, the holiday park that we both worked at no longer exists, does it, mate?
No, it doesn't, which is a shame.
A real shame. So the park that we used to work at, the holiday company was Pontins, and now Pontins is still a very big part of British culture and a big part of the UK holiday sort of scene. But they're now run by a different company. So I guess it's okay for us to talk about Pontins, because when we worked there, it was just Pontins. It wasn't run by Britannia Hotel Group. So anything that we say is just about our experience. We've got nothing but good things to say about Pontins as a whole. And obviously, I currently still work occasionally for Pontins and have a great relationship with them. So nothing that we're saying here is intended to do any harm, obviously, to the company itself. It's just all good memories. And obviously from our personal experiences that we had there around 20 years ago. So I suppose that's the housekeeping out the way and on with the show. Lee, how you doing, mate? Anyway, are you doing well?
I'm doing amazing, yeah. Under the current restrictions, I hope everyone else is keeping safe and well. And following the government guidelines.
Just doing what we can, mate. Just doing what we can. And you're working at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm currently doing a cleaning job, which is not what I normally do. I'm normally an event manager for big corporate events. But since that trade's currently under lockdown, I decided to throw my hand at doing some cleaning. So I'm currently working where they're creating the NHS ventilators.
Awesome.
Doing part of the cleaning team.
Fantastic. Great. It's such a great thing that you're doing, mate. So I applaud you for that. Absolute max respect to you. Very important job that you're doing. And yes, so you said what you're doing now is I mean, you sort of downplayed it a bit. You're one of the managers for one of the biggest event companies in the UK, and you've had great successes, and you've been able to run teams of hundreds and hundreds of sort of agency staff that are booked to do everything from catering to events to bar work, to like pretty much everything. You're the point man. You're the guy that organises all of the staff on these huge corporate events. Everything from arena tours for people like Little Mix to corporate events that happen at everything from Cheltenham Week at the races to, well, I mean, you tell me a bit more about it, Lee.
Yeah, so basically my role is to ensure everyone has an amazing time. So I go into an event, it's a blank room, I set everything up from tables, chairs, to polishing cutlery, glass, all the way through to welcoming the guest, all the way through to food service, and then pack down. And then I leave the venue and go on to my next one. It's an amazing job. I've got so much experience doing it. I meet great people. I work with some of the best chefs in the world. I work with some of the greatest acts in the world. And yeah, I owe a lot of my experience due to my history of working on Pontins.
Cool. So for a bit of background about me, obviously I started off my entertainment career in Blackpool at Pontons, and then I've continued in the entertainment industry. I've been a professional singer and entertainer for the last 20 years, 17 years. I've been working as a tribute artist. I've been in some pretty successful tribute acts. One of the acts that I was part of for a long time was an act called Retake That. It's a Take That tribute, and they're commonly regarded as the biggest, best, and most authentic tribute to Take That in Europe, which is pretty much outside of Europe. Nobody really knows who Take That are apart from Australia. So I guess I could say, without sounding too too big-headed, that we're pretty much we're recognised as the biggest Take That tribute in the world. Had a great time with them, worked with the guys for over a decade. I've since gone on to do, I played the role of Chris Martin in a Coldplay tribute band called Coldplay UK. And most recently, I've been performing as George Michael. There's a George Michael tribute. I also perform as myself, and I've played at lots of holiday parks, lots of cruise liners, some of the most prestigious hotels, corporate events all over the world, really. I've been very fortunate. I've had a very good career. And I continue to have a good career, and hopefully after all this lockdown, it'll be back to business as usual, entertaining people up and down the country, around Europe and beyond. Obviously, we've both gone down our own chosen paths, and we've attained some success in our chosen field, and no small part of that for both of us, I would say, it was due to our good grounding and our great training, working for a great holiday company at a great place, Blackpool. I mean, Blackpool, when you think of Blackpool, it's the absolute mothership of UK holiday resorts. It's the capital of holidays in the UK, would you say?
Oh, 100%. It's an amazing place to be. As such as a poor reputation as sometimes it has, I don't agree with it, because the times I spent there, which is 2 years, were amazing. It's beautiful.
I couldn't agree more, mate. I had great times in and around Blackpool. And actually, just down the road, there's a town called Lytham St Anne's, which is in that area, is a beautiful scenic place. Some lovely places in and around Blackpool and all of the Northwest, obviously. I mean, as a Manc yourself, I'm sure you'll agree with that. Not quite as nice as the Northeast, but, you know, it is what it is.
Well, considering you were in a tribute act that was primarily for the Mancs, it's like the Mackem became the Manc.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I was indeed. But anyway, enough about that. So you started at Blackpool. What year was it? Can you remember the year? Or was it such a long time ago?
It was 2000, and it was I was there for the Queen's Jubilee, actually.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. So you started
Yeah.
in 2000. Tell us about how did you get the job? How did you hear about the job, and what made you sort of decide to go and do that? And what job was it that you actually did when you worked at Pontons?
So starting out, I was living in Manchester. Got very bored very quickly when I turned 18, 19. Decided I wanted to move, so I found a job in Torquay working for an outdoor pursuits company, which no longer exists anymore. It was bought out, but it was called 3D Education Adventure, which took me all the way to Torquay.
Yeah.
So I got an 8-hour coach all the way down to Torquay.
Oh,
Worst
wow.
coach journey of my life. Turned up at this residential park, which had its own dry ski slope, staff accommodation, had a week of training, and then we welcomed 800 children onto the site. And I was instructing outdoor pursuits, which ranged from quad biking, rifles, archery, canoeing, lifeguarding skills, you know, all the good stuff that kids look forward to on these English holiday parks.
Awesome. What a cool job.
Oh, it was amazing. And I'd done 4 weeks at this particular site in Torquay, and I had a meeting and was told that I was getting relocated. So I was dead excited, thinking, oh my God, where am I going to end up next? And they announced that I was going to Blackpool.
Woo!
Well, woohoo, you may say. However, I was quite negative about it to start with. As I just relocated from the Northwest, I thought, why am I going all the way back to the Northwest? I'm here in the English Riviera, loving life, and they want to move me back. So reluctantly, I packed my bags anyway, took the transport that I provided, which was the train, trained all the way to Blackpool, and turned up at Pontins front gate in Blackpool. Like you say, it's on the road to live from St Anne's. And I was greeted there by the security and welcomed to my new home for 6 to 8 months.
Amazing. So sad that it's not there now. I mean, the last time I don't even know, because it's such a long time since I've actually been right there, stood outside of what used to be that holiday park. It was rubble for quite a long time. I don't know if I think they've changed into houses now, but it's really sad that it's not there. Like, it really still hurts in my heart that it's not there anymore. Like, it sucks. And I go to all the other, obviously Pontins has been bought out now, and has been bought out, I think, for about 10 years. That Britannia Hotels have taken over it, and they own and operate all of the remaining Pontins sites. But the fact that the place that I started, Blackpool, is no longer in existence is still, 20 years later, a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, because we had such a great time there. And obviously you went there doing the outdoor activities and pursuits, working for sort of the 3D leisure company that was operating that department at the time. And I was a world famous Pontins Blue Coat. So all singing, all dancing.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Exactly. Probably the best job for me for how I was at that time in my life. And I heard about the job. I think it was one of the Sunday papers had like advertisements in the back of the back few pages before you got the sport, and it was like calling entertainers wanted, singers, dancers, actors, hosts, compares, all that kind of stuff. And I just sent off an application and didn't really think anything of it, and heard back from them a few weeks later. There was actually, back then, there was a company called Studio One. I don't think they operate now either, that were like a go-between. They were like an agency for all of the Blue Coat entertainers, and they organised an audition. So I had to go down to Blackpool, and I did my audition, and had a successful audition. I was very, very lucky to get the job, because there was about 1,200 people at that audition, and I think they give about 40, 50 jobs away. So I was very, very, very fortunate to be one of the lucky ones to get that job. And so I started my journey on the Christmas and New Year. I did sort of a mini taster and see how it would be, and then started the full season the following February. So that I started about a year after you then.
Yes, so I left the first season just at the back end of the 6-week holidays for kids, and then I went back to Torquay, where they then offered me to come back to Blackpool Pontins as the manager of that outdoor pursuits company, which obviously I snapped the hand off, being 20 years of age, 19.
Yeah, great opportunity for a young lad that's out standing on his own 2 feet in the big bad wide world.
Yeah, not having a clue about anything, with my little Nokia mobile phone in my back pocket.
Yeah, actually, I found my old Nokia 3210 in a pair of trousers that were in the loft a couple of weeks ago, and it still had 3 bars of battery on it.
Oh, wow. I bet them trousers don't fit neither.
Thanks. Yeah, so obviously you were doing the 3D, the outdoor activities and pursuits. I was a Blue Coat. We came from 2 completely different departments, 2 different walks of life. Well, not too far different in terms of, like, we're both working class northern lads. You grew up in the northwest, I grew up in the northeast. We would never have met in a million years had it not been for Blackpool and our experiences there. And we were there for different reasons, doing different jobs, but obviously we met and we got on really well, and we've became great friends, and we've kept in touch for the last sort of 18 years, nearly 20 years. We've been pals. So this lockdown, during this time, we just decided that it would be a cool idea, because we have so many conversations, and we always talk about our old Pontins days, the glory days back on our old stomping ground in Blackpool. It would be really nice to revisit some of them times and some of them stories, and actually have something that in the future we can look back and listen to again. So this is where we got the idea from, the Mackem and the Manc, for the podcast.
The Mackem and the Manc.
It does exactly what it says on the tin.
However,
Man for it.
I love that saying. Everyone follows me around with that saying, man for it.
Yeah, it's so deeply deeply, deeply intertwined in the whole Mancunian like culture. Mad for it, innit? Like the Gallaghers, the whole swagger, the Manchester thing, the Manchester mad for it. Like that's just such a big part. It's as much a part of like being from the northeast. Like I'm from Sunderland, and like how are the lads? People saying how are and Arit. Like I go all over the country and people greet each other by saying Arit pet. Like wherever you go, it's popular. It's probably from stuff like Geordie Shore that it's like more popular now. But yeah, I think like we both come from areas that are really popular for their sort of culture as well as anything else. Well, I don't think we realised that at the time, but we were like in the midst of all of that kind of thing, like Oasis being huge and all that kind of stuff. And we were in Blackpool for all of them times, and like all of that great stuff was happening, like music and film and culture and like all them different movements that were happening. We were like smack dab in the middle of that time, but we were on a holiday park meeting loads of other people that had similar interests, but all came from different walks of life, all had different experiences, and all wanted to do different things with their lives. And we just had such a blast. At least, you know, I enjoyed my time there. I know you did. And we got to make some really good friends, didn't we?
Oh, we did, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. So I suppose that takes care of like the job and what we got there and how we got there rather. But what sort of what was some of the earliest memories that you had, like getting there? I know you said you got there and you got shown to your shed and all that kind of stuff. A shed, by the way, is what we call our accommodation, like our chalet. Our chalet was in like a staff block, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, and it was a shed.
It was a shed. So the park was huge, wasn't it? Like absolutely massive. It,
Yeah,
uh,
it could take 10 minutes to walk across to the other side of the park.
yeah,
My first accommodation was based on the opposite side of the park to where the other staff accommodation was. So it was a bit of a trek to come over. But remember dumping my bags the first night I got there. And the security guard said to me, "Oh, all the staff are in the Queen Vic, which is the on-site like local pub kind of setting."
yeah.
He said, "Why don't you go down and meet and greet everyone?" So I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So I dumped my bag, sprayed on some cologne. I think it was probably Dupe or Lynx Africa or something I thought
Oh,
the ladies would love.
waltzing down to the
Um,
Queen Vic, stinking of Lynx Africa.
yeah, I think all the bees were following me because of how much I had probably sprayed on at the time. But strutting my stuff, went walking down like Mr. Soft off the commercials,
Well,
bounding into the doors, seeing all the staff sat in the corner. They must have been at least 30 to 40 staff, and I'm thinking, oh my God. So I make my way to the bar, I order my drink,
pint a bit off.
a pint of bitter,
Yeah.
definitely. So I get my drink and I look around and I think, oh, this is the life. I'm in the Queen Vic,
Yeah.
staff everywhere. Where should I go? So I found the closest table to me. I dumped myself down and introduced myself. And from there, again, like I say, these friends have been in my life forever now. Still keep in contact with them, maybe down to social media. I don't see them in the flesh as often as I probably should, but I'm still in contact with them.
Yeah, I think I feel like that as well. But obviously, everybody's got their own life and they've got busy lives. And most people are, they're either married or they're living back in their own hometowns or different areas of the country. I know a lot of people that met and sort of started dating. Then some of them are married to each other now and live together, haven't met in that setting, in that holiday park setting. So I'm sure everybody would love to be able to get together, you know, a couple of times a year if they could, but obviously things don't always work out like that. But being able to keep in touch with people on social media, I think is definitely a cool thing. And I think that's such a funny story that like you got there and the first thing that you did or the first thing you were instructed to do was dump your bags down, kid, go and get yourself a pint in the Queen Vic and go say hello to everyone. Like as a stranger walking into that situation, like for me as an adult, like would be so daunting. Now I'd be like terrified to do that, but at the age of sort of 19, you would just feel it, and that it was just stuff you did, wasn't it? And I guess that's how. Well, that like obviously your experience is slightly different from mine, but that's how you started making friends there. And like you said, a lot of them friendships have lasted from that moment to this moment, including ours, which is like really pretty awesome if you think that back then we didn't have. Would just started to get mobile phones. Social media was something that you would never have dreamt of in a million years, to have like a phone that does everything in your hand, where you can get in touch with people and post pictures and all that kind of stuff. Like, it just wasn't even a thought in your head, which I think helped us all live a bit more in the moment. And I think that made it easier, especially being young people, to have or like make and cultivate friendships with other people. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was sat on the phones. We were all talking, we were all laughing, we were all learning about each other, and creating our own stories and our own memories that we all look back on. Me and you look back on a lot of them fondly now, which is another reason, again, of course, why we're trying to do this podcast, so we can have a good banter about the old days.
You couldn't send a message back then, if you remember, because it was so unreliable, a mobile service. Sometimes you send a text to your friend or someone you wanted to ask on a date, and it never got delivered. So
Yeah.
now you can see when it gets delivered, when it gets read, whether they're ignoring it.
You don't even have to speak to somebody now. You just like send a message. In fact, you don't even need to send a message. You don't even need to type a message to someone. You can just like do all your talking with emojis now, can't you? It's so weird, but it is what it is. Like, we just sound like two old duffers now. Oh, back in my day.
Yeah, definitely.
So funny. So like my experience at Pontons, obviously I did my audition and I got the job. I didn't know before that. I thought if you wanted to make money and be a singer, there was no way you could do that. Like, obviously doing the job now, that's been my job for the last sort of 17 years, is making money by traveling around and being a singer at venues and theatres and here, there and everywhere. Cruise ship, like, I've been dead lucky. I've been dead fortunate to play all over the place and earn money from being a performer. I didn't think that was an option then. So the opportunity to get a job at Pontons as a blue coat, where I would get paid to entertain people, like that blew my mind straight away. I didn't care what the money was like, because the money was crap. Like, my first wage was, I think it was like 105 quid a week. I think they used to take 20 quid off your wages for your accommodation before you ever got you. So that was like, your gross was 125, but your net after you pay for your accommodation, I came up with 105 quid a week. Can you remember your first wage?
Yeah, it was £85 a week.
Right.
So I used to think I was a millionaire.
Yeah. Obviously, they saw a lot more value in what I did than what you did back then. I was 20 I was 20 quid 20 quid a week better than you, mate. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, times change.
To be fair, though, you worked like not that unsociable hours, did you? So your working day doing the leisure would just be more like, you would start in the morning and then you'd work till like 5-6 o'clock at night and then you were done. Whereas I would work.
Yeah, it was a dream job. It was great. I used to ride around on a quad bike all day, you know. Who gets to live out the lifestyle of doing all the stuff they love doing in the free time, like the outdoor pursuits that I enjoyed, and get paid for it? Same as you love singing, performing, you get paid for it. That's what holiday parks does for you, I think. It gives you the opportunity to get paid to do your chosen sport or chosen hobby.
Yeah, mate, and literally, I could not agree more. Like, when I said I didn't care about the money, like, I genuinely didn't care. So long as I had enough money to live, I really would have done that job for free. Because, like you said, it was something that I was really into, really passionate about. And I think, honestly, I would highly, highly recommend it to anybody, and anybody that knows me or has seen what the successes that I've had in my performing career post holiday centre work. That all comes from the basis and the grounding that I got and the tools that I learned. From learning how to plug a mic in, learning how to set up a speaker and a microphone, learning how to talk and present yourself on a mic, and so much stuff that I learned there in a short space of time has just stayed with me and is translated into my career and has stayed with us all of these years. So anybody that wants to do this kind of job, it certainly in my field, in the entertainment field, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. And I'm sure you probably feel the same.
Yeah, in any hospitality industry, customer service, or sports instructing, I'd highly recommend it. From entertainment as well, just because obviously we've been so close for so many years. I've seen you flourish through that industry, through your experiences.
Oh yeah, and likewise, I mean, some of the jobs that you've had are quite high pressure, high profile jobs where you'd be dealing with sort of what would be classed as VIPs in their field, whether that's actors or pop stars or, you know, sportsmen, scientists, you know, doctors, whoever that you deal with. You have to be able to talk to them on their level and find common ground with every different type of person from every different walk of life. And I think you probably learned a lot of that from your days working on the holiday park, because everybody was from
100%.
such different unique backgrounds and different walks of life, and everybody had different likes and dislikes and ideas and ideals. But I think you just learn to just get on with everybody, didn't you?
Yeah, it taught you the lesson of adapting to any situation, any culture, you know, because you work with people, like you say, from all walks of life, rich, poor, English, overseas. It just gives you a nice open plan of what to expect in the real wild world.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So obviously, when I worked there, and I don't know if this is like this for other people that have worked on holiday centres or holiday parks over the years, whether that's been before we worked there or since we've worked there or any other holiday sort of park, not just the one that we worked at. Obviously, it's not there now. But when I first got there was a bit of, I wouldn't say like dissension among the ranks, but there was sort of like a bit of a different attitude towards particularly the entertainment team from the other departments. Like there was a bit of departmental friction, um, which very quickly sort of, with the group of people that were in the different departments when I was there, when you were there, were all very quickly sort of got over that. Where I know that, you know, some of the parks that I've visited and some of the parks that I've performed at, I occasionally get a feeling that there is a bit of a divide between the different departments, and there's often like a bit of a, not cynicism, but a bit of like unkindness towards the entertainment teams, where that kind of was the vibe when I first got there. But within a few weeks, there was good, strong personalities within different departments that became friends with one another quite quickly. So me and you were one, and the lad that I was roommates with, Jamie, he was another good lad, good personality. Me and him became friends with you, who in turn became friends with a lad called Troy, who was from Perth, Australia, that worked on the bar. Became friends with another lad
Yeah,
called
good old Troy.
yeah, who's a great guy that I still occasionally keep in touch with now, who's living back in Australia and is married with a kid and all that kind of stuff. Um, we became sort of interdepartmental friends, and it kind of allowed everybody to work together in separate departments, but then was socialised together of an evening. And it didn't matter if you were a lifeguard or a blue coat or a leisure staff or a 3D outdoor activities and pursuit staff, or you worked in the restaurant, or you worked like every department was cool, and we all got on with each other. So it made, for my experience, that year that I was there, for like a really fun and harmonious time. I didn't feel like, the lifeguards hate us, or the restaurant lads hate us. Like we all seemed to get on quite well, which I think like definitely added to the positive experience overall for me. Like,
Oh yeah, totally agree. Honestly, it was the best year was the one I spent that year at Pontins as the manager.
the only thing I would say was some of the security were knobheads.
Shout out to Carl.
Funny. But yeah, honestly, I had a great time. And I think we've mentioned that we still stay in touch with a lot of the other people that we worked with there. And I know that you said that you would love to be able to see them in the flesh. I know that Russ, one of the lads that was a blue coat there, was actually chief host. So he was like the boss out of the lads of the blue coats. He was a great entertainer. He still is. And I see him not super regularly, but our paths have crossed a few times in recent years and over the years on sort of the cabaret and the performance circuit. And I know it was Russell's 40th birthday this year. He was planning to have a big get together. And normally in my line of work, I'm working on weekends, and he's the same. So it's kind of hard to get everybody's diaries to line up and calendars to line up to be able to sort of see each other. Because, like you said, you working in the hospitality industry. It's obviously it's different now when we're in lockdown, but it would be really cool to be able to get people together. So we've spoke about this. It would be quite a good idea, or would both like to, if it's possible, maybe be able to bring some people into our conversations over the next few weeks and sort of have a catch up with some people that we might not have seen for a while.
Yeah, and maybe get your version of any stories that you want to tell, you know, good, the bad, and the ugly. And just get your version of the story over of what your experience was like, because everyone's experience is going to be slightly different. I'm a firm believer that everyone that spent the time within Pontins during my career there, I've all got the same version of the fact of how valuable the experience was and how much of a good time they had.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that I work with would have left that particular park in Blackpool. I don't think anyone would have left that experience and thought, "Oh, that was crap. Oh, I didn't enjoy that." Like everybody which was all everybody. We split everybody. We were all in it together, all around similar ages. I would say everyone was sort of between 18 to 25, and we're all got on. Like obviously, there's like little hissy fits and little arguments and little fallouts here and there about people, but nobody. There was never any like big problems or any big issues, was there? It was just like everybody got on for the most part, like a house on fire.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I think we should take some responsibility because of our amazing hosting skills of all the parties that we hosted.
We did, we had some good. Honestly, we had some great parties, and I'm sure we'll speak about them like over the next few weeks. But in terms of like just general stories and like general like things that I remember and things that you remember, we speak quite a lot, but we always sort of reminisce about the stories and some of the funny things that happened. Like we should probably mention a couple of things that happened while we were there, just to maybe jog people's memories if they're listening, and put a smile on a few people's faces. Excuse me. And it might be entertaining for people that haven't heard this, and it might give some people a good idea as well about how to wind your pals up.
So I've got a great story to jog your memory, Ross.
Oh yes. Go on.
And this takes us back, and as soon as I start a conversation, you're gonna know exactly what I'm on about. So I remember this day like it was yesterday. I'd gone back to my shed after a hard day's work, probably around tea time. I could hear loads of banging outside. It sounded like a football or a basketball or something was going on. So I'm chilled out in my shed. Next thing, a knock on my door. So I was thinking, oh my God, who's this bothering me? So I open the door, and there's one of my staff stood in front of me. His name was Steve, I think. So young Steve stood in front of me, and he was looking for a contraption that I still don't know the name of, but you plug it onto your taps, and it turns your bath into an overhead shower. Now, I'll let you take the story from me, Ross, because I know you know which one I'm on about.
Lee, I know exactly which story you're on about. And it was Steve, but he used to get called Stee, just S-T-E, Stee. He was a young lad from Blackpool. He was a bit like Puss in Boots. You know, have you seen that movie, Shrek the Puss in Boots, where the big eyes, where he's just like out for the first time in the big bad world, like making his way. And he was unloading all of his kit into his shed. Obviously, you know, the chalets that we lived in, we'll call them sheds. So he's unpacking his case and trying to sort of personalise his own little living space that he's going to be there for the rest of the season. So he comes and knocks on your door, asks for this contraption. It's like a rubber hose, and it almost looks like a stethoscope, doesn't it? So the two ends go over your hot tap and your cold tap, and the other end is like a long tube that goes to a shower head that you sort of stick on your wall. It's got like one of them sucker things on that you just stick. So he came around and asked you.
So you were actually playing football outside my room, though, which was keeping all the noise, so I had to turn the telly up.
So I was outside. I think I was with Jamie Hughes having a kick about. Maybe Russ was there. A couple of the lads, Rob and Scott, that were cleaners, they were there. Maybe a couple of the lifeguard lads. So we're all kind of gathered round and watching what's going on. And I just remember hearing you tell him what to do and where to go. So this kid's wanting a shower and he's wanting this attachment. And there's a handful of these shower attachments like kicking about the place. Not everybody had one. So we all kind of shared stuff like that. Probably not great from a hygiene standpoint, looking back. But hey, listen, we all just mucked in and we all just cracked on and did what we could. So he wanted to borrow this shower attachment, and I remember you very, very kindly telling him, I haven't got any, but I know that Caroline and Janine, these were two young lasses, two young ladies. Caroline, I think, was from Manchester, and Janine, the other girl on reception, she was from Liverpool, and they both lived together, sort of across the way. Like if you imagine like a sort of a square, we lived on one side of the square, they lived on the adjacent side of the square, just connected to ours. So it was like if I came out of my balcony or you came out of your balcony and you looked diagonally across to your left, you could see theirs. He was on the bottom floor. So I remember you saying, yeah, Caroline and Janine have got them. He says, what do you call them? And I've never seen somebody's face light up so quickly. And me and the lads are like, would stop playing football now, and we're all just kind of like watching you have this conversation. And I remember you just turn around and go, Steve, they're called fallopian tubes. Excuse me. So this poor lad, it was like the most gentle, like the most gentle hazing ever. Bless him. So he goes wandering off, and he was like, I don't know these girls. I don't know them. And you go, yeah, just shout them. It's Janine and Caroline. Just shout them. So he's like, really super polite. Janine, Caroline. So they both come to the door and they're like, yeah, what? Like, hi. My name's Steve. And they're like, yeah, all right, Steve. We're looking. And like I can already feel my shoulders shaking and like my body's like vibrating like with anticipation. Oh my God, this guy's gonna ask these young lasses for this. And I just remember the other lads just stood around me, exactly the same reaction, just waiting for him to say the words. And he just went, "Can I borrow your fallopian tubes?" We all just fell about laughing, and the girls just looked at him as if to say, What are you talking about? We're absolutely crying, laughing, like, and you're just like, literally, I looked up to your balcony and you've got a cup of coffee in one hand and you're like clutching your stomach with your other hand, like tears streaming down your face. Or just having a laugh at this poor lad's expense. And the girls like just instantly knew it couldn't have been this poor lad. They're all looking at you and you're just rolling about on the floor on the balcony, just crying, laughing. And we're all falling about laughing. This poor Steve like asking these two young lasses for a lend of their fallopian tubes. That was just so funny. Like it was just like a really nice way of it was like almost like his initiation. It was like welcome to the team kind of thing. And he was a lovely kid and he just took it in good faith and good spirits. But it was his first day away from home. Just because we'd been there a few months, hadn't we? We must have been like, oh yeah, we know the score, we know the scoop, we know how things work around here. Partner, bless him.
But the poor guy knocked on his manager's door to look for some security of finding this contraption.
Oh gosh, that's so funny. I wonder whatever happened to Steve Lesson. I wonder if he's still looking for his fallopian tubes.
Wonder if he ever found them, more to the point.
I wish. Oh, how funny. So yeah, I suppose like we can wrap this up now. I love that story. It's so funny. It's so like that's a good story that like exemplifies exactly what type of banter that went on there. It was dead gentle, dead harmless, dead funny. Like nothing nasty, no malice. Like there was no. Do you know what I mean? There was no nastiness about any of it. It was just all a good natured, good humor, good laugh. Like everybody got it and everybody gave it and everybody was like had a great time doing it. And like you said before, we all got to do a job that we were really loved and we're dead passionate about. So what's next? What's upcoming on the next few episodes, then, Lee?
So I'd like to put a shout out to see if anyone wants to come and join us to have a nice chat and bring on their side of the story. So that's anyone who's worked with us across the holiday park industry. Maybe you're still in it, maybe not, maybe you've left, maybe you've moved on. But send us a message, we'll get you on and we'll share some stories again.
I think that's so cool, because obviously we have our stories that we remember and our versions of them stories, but when we're speaking to other people, they'll probably have stories that we don't even remember happening. So it'll be a really cool way of remembering stuff as well. So yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? So shall we? I guess we'll wrap things up from the Mackem and the Manc, and hopefully we'll see.
Mackem and the Manc.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see and hear from some of you guys out there soon. I hope you enjoyed it. This, like I said, it's our first go at doing this, like a podcast. So I hope there was something in there for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to you, mate.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Always good to reminisce. Like, so this would be like obviously over the next couple of weeks, if we could do one of these every week and have a chat with some people, some pals that we used to work with, that'd be awesome. And obviously we just want to say, because the way things are at the moment in the UK, a huge, massive shout out to all of the NHS staff working on the front line, a lot of the key workers that have been going out and doing their bit and trying to keep the country moving along and keeping everybody safe over the last few weeks and couple of months while we've been all going through this together. You know, we really appreciate all of the work that you've done and continue to do to keep, you know, each and every one of us safe. And please continue to adhere to the government guidelines. I know it's going to be nice weather across the next couple of weeks, and before everybody starts relaxing these guidelines, just please remember, like, you're not just putting yourself at risk, it's a risk of spreading it to other people, and we just want to make sure that we all stick together in this, don't we?
Yeah, so just everyone keep safe, have fun, and I hope you enjoyed listening.
Yeah, and we'll be back very, very soon. So from me, Ross the Mackem,
and Lee the Manc,
we'll see you very soon.
bye for now.
Bye for now. Ta-da.